Good morning and welcome to this Assessing the Feasibility of Your Business Idea and Introduction to VSU's Business Launchpad Certificate Program webinar. This is sponsored by the VSU Center for Entrepreneurship and the Minority Small Business Launch Center. How is everyone this morning?
Good morning.
All right. Well, I am your instructor, Dr. Patrice Perry Rivers. I have over 25 years of experience in corporate marketing, advertising, and entrepreneurship and business education. I was a marketing analyst and a strategic marketing consultant, especially publications manager for the Virginia Pilot newspaper. And then also I have been a professor here at Virginia State University for about 7 years now. And before that, I was a lecturer at Rutgers Business School, where I obtained my PhD, and an assistant professor at St. Francis College in New York, where I helped them start their Center for Entrepreneurship. I am thrilled to be with you today. And today, what I'd like to do is to show you really quickly. I know this is going to be a repeat for many of you, but for those who are not yet familiar with the Minority Small Business Launch Center and our resources, I'm going to show you about a 1 minute and 40-second video about our center. I'd like to share with you a little bit about our project. I would like to increase my volume so that I may hear you guys better. So our project is for us to create an entrepreneurship pre-accelerator, and we created this to increase the entrepreneurship participation rate of minorities in the performance of early stage firms in the Richmond metropolitan statistical area. The project is implemented by the VSU Center for Entrepreneurship and the Division of Research and Economic Development at VSU. And we are committed to assisting all small business owners in the Richmond MSA, regardless of your minority status, who seek our assistance with launching and or growing their firms. We offer business development, training, and an array of services to current and prospective business owners to help them launch and scale. And we are supported by an array of regional partners, including chambers, entrepreneurship support organizations, municipalities, banks, government agencies, and government adjacent agencies. Government agencies like the SBA, the SBSD have been really important to us, and then other higher ed institutions and more. Our funding source is Go Virginia. Go Virginia is a statewide initiative that's intended to foster private sector growth and job creation through state incentives for regional collaboration by business, education, and government. And our Minority Small Business Launch Center project is funded by Region 4, which is the Richmond Metro Council. We received $453,000 to implement this program over 2 years from them, and about $240,000 in cash and in-kind match funding from organizations from all across the region, organizations including firms and nonprofits. So what we're going to talk about today is this concept of feasibility analysis. So what is feasibility analysis or feasibility study? You may hear me use those terms interchangeably today. And why should you do it? A feasibility study simply is not the same as a business plan, but it serves as a filter that screens out ideas that lack the potential for building a successful business before an entrepreneur commits the necessary resources to building your business plan. So it is an investigative tool that can help you screen your ideas for their potential profitability. In contrast to a feasibility study, a business plan is going to serve as a planning and implementation tool to guide entrepreneurs as they launch and operate their business after they have assessed a business concept is viable through a feasibility study. It can help you transform your idea into reality, and it's going to be a tool that can help you gain financing. What I want to note is that a feasibility study and that engages you in lots of investigative research that you also would often have to include in your business plan. And most of the research that's conducted in your feasibility study can be used in your development of your business plan if your feasibility study indicates that you have a viable business concept. How do you determine if your business concept is feasible? So your decision to start a business is a personal one. And a lot of times we're motivated primarily by those personal motives. There's something that we like to do. There's something that we may have experience doing. There's a concept that has been on our mind for some time that we just like to try out. But a successful business has three parts, and you need to investigate these three parts before you actually invest the resources, your time, your skill, and your money into launch. So the three parts that a successful business is going to have are going to be a market, it's going to have effective management, and it's going to have money. So one of the first things that you're going to want to ask yourself when we're talking about market is there a market for my product or service of sufficient size? You're going to need to determine if you have a market for your product. That means you have a sufficient number of target customers who are likely to purchase your products. And I'd also like to note in the geographic area in which you intend to operate. Without customers that will buy your product or service in sufficient numbers and at a high enough price to provide a profit, then a business is going to fail. So market is of extreme importance for you to assess before you invest significantly in a launch. Management, this is something that you also need to investigate. Can you bring this product to market? Do you have the sufficient skill and or experience to manage your business and bring the product to market profitably? Or do you have the capacity and the knowledge of where you need to get these additional management skills and expertise that you may not have to augment your efforts? Remember, however inherently attractive your business idea is or your products or services, they will not sell themselves and they will not be able to manage themselves. You're going to have to do that, and or you're going to have to bring people around you who are going to successfully enable you to do that. It doesn't just have to be individuals. It could be also firms to whom you outsource specific activities that will be necessary for you to operate your business. And the last question that we all need to ensure we have in place before we launch a successful business is you need to evaluate your money. If the answers to market and management are yes, then and only then should you think about money. Do you have the capital yourself or access to the capital to make this business successful? That means through bank funding, through credit, through venture capital that resources that you can pursue, through loans, through the resources that you have, through the assets that you have in terms of your home equity, stocks, bonds, savings, inheritance, etc. So here comes in then the VSU Pro Small Business Launchpad Certificate. This certificate was developed specifically to help aspiring and existing entrepreneurs conduct a thorough feasibility analysis that focuses on whether or not you and your business pass that market management and money test that we just spoke about that would enable you to be successful. And what it does is it allows you to gather information that you'd be able to very simply convert into a business plan so that you'll be able to use the research that you have garnered in order for you to complete this plan, in order for you to go to banks, in order for you to effectively communicate to venture capitalists and at pitch competitions what your business is and why it passes these three tests, which makes it a much more attractive investment. Very specifically, our Pro Small Business Certificate is going to help you identify your personal objectives, skills, and resources, develop a clear business model, describe your products and or services, identify your target market and analyze your competition, help you develop at least a preliminary sales and distribution strategy, determine your management and human resource requirements so that you can put that in your business plan later for implementation. It allows you to select the appropriate business legal form, develop a sales forecast, determine your initial or your startup expenses, develop an estimated 12-month operating budget, and a cost of goods sold worksheet, which helps you to figure out how much you should sell your products for because you understand what your true costs are to develop that product and or service, and a profit and loss statement. And then ultimately what you're able to do with this certificate program is to come up with a market management and money score for your business concept. And that is going to put you on the right path to help you assess, okay, this is a viable business idea. I know that many of you guys are operating businesses already. And so what that means is that you might need to make some modifications to your sales and distribution strategy, to the size and scope, perhaps, of your market, to the human resources that you have in place in order for you to successfully launch. If you either have a low market money, market management and money score, or if you don't have a score that enables you to get a go. I think that this is still a very good tool for those of you who are already operating businesses so that you can tweak your business model in order for you to operate optimally. So how do you access this certification training? So what you simply do is you're going to go to our website at the minoritysmallbusinesslaunchcenter.com, actually at minoritysmallbusinesslaunchcenter.com. And then you're going to go to the certification training tab. And then you're going to select the VSU Small Business Launch Certificate and choose the Pro Certificate. I'm actually going to walk you guys through that now so that you guys who have not yet accessed this training program will know how you can access it. So you very simply are going to go over here to certification training. On this tab, you have two options. You have the VSU Small Business Launch Certificate and the Startup Virginia Online Certificate Training. They are not mutually exclusive. I think that they both compel you to engage in some introspection and some research that is going to help you with operating your business if you're already operating it successfully, or launch a more successful firm if you've not yet launched. You click on VSU Small Business Launch Certificate. That will take you here where you'd have two options. And so if you were a student who was not yet prepared to analyze their assets and do really a lot of the financial statements, then you choose Student Small Business Launch Certificate. But if you are an existing business owner or a person with sufficient experience and intent to launch a business now, then you choose our Pro Small Business Launch Certificate. And then if you have accessed it for the first time, then you're going to click on login. And it is going to take you to a place where you will create your own initial login. It will be your email address, and then you'll be able to start in this course. I am actually already enrolled in the program. The cookies on my computer have already established such, and so it knows that. And so it's taking me directly to the course. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in as an administrator and then show you everything that you have access to with this program. Then once you're in the Pro Small Business Launch Certificate, then what you'll do is you'll proceed through the course by going to each of the modules. At the beginning of each one of the modules, you are going to be given a summary of what that module is going to cover. The very first module that you go over is what the entire course covers. There is a video that explains very briefly what you'll find in our Small Business Launch Certificate course. And then you are able to see what the outline is for the course. And it tells you that you're going to go through identifying your personal objectives, ultimately identifying your personal financial resources, all the way down to establishing your market management and money scores. And then it also lets you know that after you've completed all of the modules in this plan, is that you are provided with an abbreviated PowerPoint that is going to condense a lot of the analysis that you engaged in into a presentable template that you can use for pitch competitions. It's an investor-friendly presentation in terms of content. Of course, from an aesthetic perspective, you can feel free to change and add your own images and customizations, but you'll get this investor-friendly presentation that will enable you to effectively summarize your business model, your marketing strategy, and your business profit potential, so that you, again, can communicate this to potential investors, lenders, customers, and even partners. You can proceed through each module by clicking on Next. And then for your second module, then it goes over an introduction. It talks about what is business feasibility. It covers a lot of what we covered today. And then what it does is it provides you with an illustrative diagram that helps you understand the step-by-step business feasibility process, where it takes all of the different steps or sections of this Business Launchpad Certification program and puts it there on our little rocket launch diagram to help you conceive how each step builds on each other. And again, you know, completing all these steps doesn't guarantee you success, but I think it really gives you a much better picture of the viability of your business concept. I am going to take questions in just a minute. I see that we have several people who have indicated some things in chat. So after I've gone through everything that I would like to go through, if that's okay with you all, about what's in the Business Launchpad Certification program, then I will answer all of your questions. Another way that you can access each of the modules is obviously to go over to modules and open each module, but it does require you to complete the modules in succession. It might allow me to move around just because I have administrative rights within the course, but you would not be able to. You would actually need to complete each one of the modules in succession in order for you to proceed to the next one. So after you've read about what feasibility is in step one, then what it tells you to do is to identify your personal objectives. And what you have is you actually have a macro linked Word document that I've created for you guys to download that will allow you to enter information into it if it's just a chart or a questionnaire, and if it is a spreadsheet in which you need to enter some financial figures in order for it to complete calculations for you, then you'll be able to double click on the image for the spreadsheet and it will open up in Microsoft Excel. It is important for you guys to function on a computer that has Microsoft Office or a free Microsoft Office similar program. There are several programs that exist, and in the steps, in the step-by-step guide that I've sent out to you guys, it makes a recommendation of a couple of those free programs that you can access that will recognize an Excel file when you double click on any of the spreadsheets that are embedded in these documents that we've sent or provided to you in this program, and it will open that particular document in Excel. But essentially, all you have to do is that for each one of the modules, then it tells you what the module is about. Then it takes you to a page where you're able to download that section of the workbook. You're able to see a preview of it. And the reason I wanted you guys to be able to download this is so that you're able to get this information yourself, and you're able to keep it yourself on your computer, and you're able to see all the research and all the notes that you took in order for you to complete each one of these sections, so that later on, when you decide, and I hope this doesn't happen to anyone, but if you decide, oh, this doesn't make me happy anymore, I would have rather be doing the business this way, you'll be able to corroborate that that was what your first mind was by going back to your personal objectives section, for example, here, and seeing what you put as what your objectives are, and help you assess whether or not you're staying true to what you intended to do when you launched this business. So when you identify your personal objectives, then what you want to do is to really think about how this business and elements of this business is going to satisfy your wants and needs. So in organization theory and in sociology, they introduced a concept called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is basically a theoretical model where every human has a set of needs that goes all the way from their base needs that are physical and that are mandatory for us to fulfill in order for us to survive. So you can think of them as your survival needs, all the way to personal fulfillment. And what this enables you to do is to assess really the extent to which this business concept that you have chosen is going to satisfy your wants and needs. That's important, because if it does that, then you're more inclined to be willing to invest what's necessary in the business to make it successful and to stay with it when things become challenging. So you have this personal objectives questionnaire, and it asks you things that you might think, oh, this is not important for my business, but it is. Because even it can help you formulate how your business is structured. If you know annual vacations are important to me and my family, and we never miss them, that may mean that a certain time of the year, then you plan for lower sales or for allocating responsibility to other employees so that you're able to do that. So it can help you with the way that you structure your business activities. I like to leave my work at the office at the end of each day, which I have to tell you is not necessarily a realistic concept for any business owner. And I like to think about it only when I return the next morning. I don't even do that for Virginia State, but you absolutely don't do that. When I ran my own business, I lived it, I breathed it. It was part of what I did at every moment. My cell phone was accessible to me and to my clients at all times. And so you need to know where you stand in regards to that, because again, it can affect your happiness, your fulfillment when you're operating this business. And then it also can affect the likelihood that you're willing to make the necessary investments for it to be a sustainable business. The other thing that you are doing here is you are assessing how much money you want to make, the skills that you have and that you want to use in running your business. Oftentimes, there are certain things that we have picked up in terms of skill sets and capabilities over the course of our education and our careers. If we're older entrepreneurs, and then you're going to list those there. And then you're also going to think about the jobs that you want someone else to do in your business, because that's going to be important. And then what assets that you own and you're willing to use as collateral on a business loan. These are things that you need to think about. If you're not willing to use your house and it's your biggest asset with the most potential, it's your biggest potential source of funding, and you don't have other sources then you really need to evaluate whether or not this is something that you'd like to do. I will go ahead and take some questions, as I see that some people have raised their hands. I'm going to actually answer Ms. Stokes' question, and then I'm going to go to everyone in chat. Yes, Ms. Stokes.
Good morning. Just
morning.
a quick question. I know as a business owner, and I'm like still in the beginning, but I've done like a lot. When you, I think the objectives is very, very helpful, right? But you said, when you was a business owner before too, you know how if we did these projected objectives, and then in your head you're thinking, oh my goodness, I was only supposed to do 8 hours a day. It, like you said, it kind of becomes a part of you. So do you think the objective list is like overall or short term, or how we make it? How would you say the objective is, like something you want to do in the future, what you're all about now, something you can continue to carry with you or continue to change?
You want to think about this, and I think that's a good question. You want to think of this as traits. These would be stable traits and preferences that you hold, really regardless of the type of employment that you have. So for example, I knew that I always wanted flexible employment. And if I really want to think about my entire life, every job that I've ever held has given me that flexibility, except for my first corporate job where I had to put in my pay my dues, right? So when I was a marketing analyst, I had to sit there and splice data all day long for everyone else. And I didn't have a lot of flexibility to go anywhere or do anything. I was running the numbers, putting together presentations, and helping other people figure out how to generate their, $500,000 or $100,000 account list.
Oh my goodness, Mrs. Rivers, you are so on point. When you have clients, you have to look at this like, I'm not doing anything for myself, like.
Yeah, well, what I was going to mention to you though, but after that, every other job that I pursued gave me flexibility. So when I was promoted to be the first, so when I was an account executive for the first time, and I think they called me like a strategic marketing consultant or something like that. But when I was an account executive for the Virginia Pilot, I had a great deal of flexibility. I had to manage my schedule. I had to work with others. I was able to come up with entrepreneurial ideas and new product ideas for the newspaper as an entrepreneur. I didn't have a set schedule from 8 until 10. We had to be in the office to work with our designers and our other staff members that worked as part of our team. But after that, I was out in the field all day, running my entrepreneurial effort for that existing firm. And so I have to think about it. Every other job that I had when I got promoted within the company as and handled different specialty publications, and even when I handled the senior real estate accounts, I still had a great deal of flexibility. And so that would have been a deal breaker for me to have, for example, a shop where I'd have to sit in that shop all day long, and that would be all that I had to do. When I went into real estate, because I knew that I needed to have a flexible job, then it was a service-oriented job that required me to go out and obtain customers and directly interface with them, to be traveling around in my region to show them the properties, to attend conferences and different events. And so it was just consistent with my personality type. And I think that the reason that you need to complete this personal objectives questionnaire and the way that is because you have these traits that are going to go with you wherever you go. And you want to make sure that you haven't, that you're not launching a business that you will not want to continue. Now, that's fine if you think that you have a very profitable business concept and you're a serial entrepreneur that intends to sell it to someone else. But if this is your baby that you're unlikely to want to depart with, you want to make sure that you want to have the baby before you have it. And then that's all that this does. And it's probably it is definitely the simplest part of this, of the work that you've got to do for this particular feasibility launchpad certification. But I think it's one of the most important, even though it seems rather simplistic. So thank you for your question.
Thank you. That answered, that was a great answer. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to answer some of the other questions. So is the Pro Small Business Certificate fee waived? Absolutely. Because you have enrolled in the Minority Small Business Launch Center, then it is waived for you. Make sure if you're attending this webinar and you have not yet enrolled, that you go online and that you enroll for free in the Minority Small Business Launch Center. What that does technically is it qualifies you not only for this certification program, but for all of our other resources, including attending any of the events for any of our partners, many of whom have opened up events that are typically closed to the public for us, some of whom already had ones that were open to the public, but it qualifies you to access to all of the events, regardless of the way that they're normally offered. It also qualifies you for, listing in the business directory for VSU that we're going to work on developing for everyone that participates in this program, where you'll be able to list, what your business is, and people will be able to find you by industry, and for which we'll do at least some quarterly marketing for you, send that list out to everybody at VSU and all of our partners and supporters. It qualifies you for access to our request forms. So you can ask for a website, you can ask for membership into one of our chambers, and you can ask for student workers. And so it's important for you to take advantage of all of these resources while they're available. They'll only be free as far as we know for the 2 years of us operating our grant, and that will be only through July of 2023. So I hope that answers your question. So the fee is automatically waived. We do go back in and check to make sure that people who have not enrolled, for whom we haven't captured information, have actually gone back and enrolled in the Minority Small Business Launch Center. So we do check for, inconsistencies there, but all we'll do is call you. Won't kick you out. We'll call you and say, hey, we'll contact you via email, and if you've provided that. And I want to make sure that I mention this. It seems like an odd request, but when you guys fill out that Minority Small Business Launch Center enrollment form, I noticed that about 127 people, we've had over 500 applicants, didn't put any email address on an online registration form. So we have no way to reach them other than for me to have my administrative staff to individually call everyone and get their email address. So make sure that you've actually put your email address in the Minority Small Business Launch Center enrollment form. All right. So, what I would like to encourage you to do, if you are here, even if I have to tell you, I think the pro course is just better. And even if you don't put in all of the details for your profit and loss statement, the question that I have is if I'm already enrolled in the pro course, is it possible to switch to the student course? All you have to do is to log out and then go back to our site and then choose to enroll in the student course. And you can do that. But the student course is just an abbreviated version of the pro course. If I were you, I would get the pro course and all of the resources that are associated with the pro course. And then you're able to go in and expand upon the information that you included in that later on. But I think you should complete the pro course. Okay, let's see what else we have. So yes, so someone's already answered some questions. So thank you, Mr. Simmons, for answering some of these questions ahead of time for me. There is a difference between the pro course and the student course, as I just described, but I really want you guys to focus on the pro course. It's just better. It's like you have the best resources for that one. I would access those resources because in that you get all of those Excel spreadsheets, and I'm kind of anal, so I spent all these time calculating all these formulas for you guys because it's actually my course that VSU is using. I think it's a good idea for you to have those because then you can go in and use them later. You can actually use those spreadsheets for other businesses that you decide to launch in the future. There is really not that much variation that you're going to see with an assets and liabilities or personal assets spreadsheet. Oops, excuse me. That's probably because I have the chat box open that you see that black box. There's also really not a profit and loss statement. It is going to have your income and your expenses on it. I just think it's you'll get all of the spreadsheets and those resources, and you should use those. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to trying to provide you guys with a high-level summary of the certification program. And those of you guys that need to leave by 11:30, which I believe is when this session is supposed to be over, then you may feel free to do so. But what you have is after step one, then you download it, you fill out everything that's there. And I want to show you this. After you have completed the document, downloaded it, read it, answered any questions or assignments that are related to it, then what you're going to do is you're going to come back in here and then you're going to upload that to be proof that you have completed that aspect of the certification. And then you're going to click on Start Assignment in order for you to do that. When you click on Start Assignment, then it allows you to upload your file. And then once you upload the file that you have entered in your information for, then you just hit Submit. And then what will happen, it's not going to work for me because again, I'm in there as an instructor. But for you, once you hit Submit Assignment, it's going to work for you. And then you'll be able to move on to the next element or the next module that is part of this certification program. So the very same process that I showed you for step one, you'll have for all of the other steps. Step two is one that is very similar, that you have a questionnaire, and then you're kind of really doing your management skills inventory so that you understand what you can do and you're honest about what you cannot do so that you can identify who you need to outsource certain services or activities to, like your accounting function perhaps, or your marketing function perhaps, if that's not something that you have the capability or time to do. And then you're going to upload the documentation that you've completed after you finished it, and then go to the next module. But you are going to also have some modules that are financial or numeric in nature. And then when you get to step three, that's the first module that you access this that way. So in step three, you have to identify your personal financial resources. And this is the last module that I'll go over since we have to end our session. But in step three, you're going to actually assess how much money that you have. You're going to assess what assets that you have and what the value of those assets are. And you are essentially completing an assets and liabilities spreadsheet that helps you figure out what your personal net worth is. This is very similar to what you'd have to submit to a bank, and it's what they would typically use in order for them to evaluate evaluate how qualified you are in their eyes to obtain a loan, because the more assets that you have, in particular access to liquid assets, then the better able you would be to pay back a loan that they give to you. So what I've done here is you've been given step-by-step instructions on how to complete this form. And then what you're able to do is actually go to the form. And sometimes I think it might just be better to actually go here and download the personal financial statement that's here. And then you can see from this that you fill it out with your information. Please do not put your social security number or what you upload for us. I don't want to see that. And I'd encourage you to keep that close. Don't even put your last four. There'd be no reason for us to have any of that information. It's just for us to look through this and just to see how effectively you've completed these aspects. And then what you're going to do is you're going to enter in all of the information that you need to enter in order for you to complete this. When you download this, let me just show you this. It's going to do some auto calculation for you. I'm going to answer some questions for you in just a moment. Let me just open this and let everyone see it if you don't mind first. All right, so because this is a macro-enabled Excel spreadsheet, which means that it calculates things for you, always click Enable Editing, so it'll save whatever that you've entered into it if you'd like to. And so here, every yellow field is what you're going to fill out, right? And so every yellow field you fill out. So do you have any securities that are held by a broker? You know, you don't need to enter in your cash on hand. You don't need to enter in your government marketable securities, because what happens is I give you these different schedules in order for you to complete each type of asset. So what I've done is I've created these groups for you to complete or list each one of the assets. So let's just say cash on hand or in banks. I'll just say, all right, so I've got some money in, I'll just put Bank of America, right? And then you can just say that this is your personal checking, because this is notes that you'll be able to access. Type of ownership, if you're married, it would be joint. If you're not, it would be single, right? And then you put what you have in there. So you can just say, oh, I've got 2,500 in there now, or I have, be honest, $100 in there right now. And then you do the same thing for your savings. Oops. And then we'll put, $10,000 there, right? And what you'll notice has happened is all the way up here, then your cash on hand, which is in Schedule A, is automatically entered there for you. So remember to only fill out the yellow forms, and then that will help you when you are completing this particular document. I really love this one because this is actually going to be foundational to you being able to get money from any lender or a potential investor. They're going to really look at your assets, and you will have to complete something like this, and it'll be great for you to have this because you'll already have it completed for some of the entities that you might attempt to reach out to. So ultimately what will happen once you've completed everything is it's going to give you your net worth. So based on this, because I haven't entered in any other information, it says that I've got a whopping $10,100 in net worth, right? And so, it's going to calculate that for you, but this is important for you to understand. It's not something that you should see as a barrier that cannot be overcome, but it is something that banks will look at, and it's worth your while to understand where you stand before you even go and contact them. I'm going to go to chat and answer some questions that are there. Don't see any questions there. Let's see if I have some participants with their hands raised. I do. So Miss Williams, I'm going to answer your question first this time.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
2 questions for you with this form. Well, I remember our last session that we had, we were speaking about there being a consultant available on Wednesdays to be able to help us out with some things. Is this something that they would be able to sit down and walk us through step by step with any questions that we might have?
They can to some extent. Yes, they can help you with this, but I will also be available via email if you have some questions, but he should be able to help you with this. I will work with him to make sure that he understands it. This particular statement is not a difficult one for you to complete. So I think this one he should be able to help you with. But when you get to some of the other financial statements that you have to complete, one of the reasons that we have an accountant coming in to speak with you guys who understands all of those sorts of documents superbly is so that you can understand them as best as possible as well. So for this one, I say, yes, he can help you with this. And if he has any questions that he can't answer, then he'll reach out to me in order for me to provide guidance. But when you get to the financial statements, really understanding, how you should construct them, and particularly if you're really trying to build your real financial statements for your business, then you're going to want to make sure that you attend the seminar that's coming up later in our cohort with Professor Wharton. He's not only a PhD in accounting, but he is a former accountant. So the good thing about really a lot of the professors that we have now is that they have both practitioner and this theoretical experience. So they're useful to you. So I hope that answers your question. He can help you with this one. And if whatever he can't figure out, then he'll shoot it to me and then I'll help.
Okay. And when do we know when he'll be available to start assisting?
Yeah, he was there this Wednesday for the first time, but what we're doing now is we're working on adding a sign up sheet to our website. So when on our website where it says request forms, let me go over here. I'm actually going to change that to request forms and assistant requests. I'm trying to figure out what to do here, or consulting requests or something to that effect. And then what you'll be able to do is you'll have another form here where you'll able to directly schedule on his calendar. So we're working on that now. Give me this week, because when he was there this Wednesday, it was like his orientation. It was his first time there. But he did have a student who came in, like who just walked in, but we didn't have, I hadn't decided which way I'd like his schedule to be booked. I think I've already talked with him about it being direct booked, so we don't have to have a lot of middlemen management. You're hearing too much of the analysis behind it. You'll be able to meet with him, I would say, beginning with next Wednesday. He'll be available for you, and you'll be able to directly book on his schedule from our website.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and I also saw Ms. Stokes had a question. So what is your question?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Rivers. I just need to put my hand down. It's digital.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. All right. So when you're in this certification program, essentially what you do is you just proceed through the modules by going to next. And then one of the things I really like about what we've done with this certification program is that at the end, once you're finished with everything, it will allow you to complete a certificate. So this module certificate of completion will open up for you. You won't be able to access it until you've submitted everything, but you'll be able to fill out this form, and then it will actually send you a certificate of completion because you have gone through all of the modules and it will be emailed to you. So I'm really excited about us getting software that would allow that to happen. I see, Precious, you raised your hand.
Yes, so once we submit the items, and I think I heard you say that you guys are gonna review to make sure that we kind of filled everything in. Will there be a point where you guys review it and say, I think this could use some tweaking or some, changing? Let's reach out and let her know some improvement things or things like that.
Okay, so no, let me say, so when I mentioned that we'll go back in and look at it, it would be more for us to evaluate how people are using this and the extent to which they are engaging with the material. So because our capacity is not such for us to go in and grade it, then you can reach out to us if you need assistance and want feedback, but we're not able to do it in reverse order, not with the way that we're administering this program at this time. So I'm glad that you said that. So when I said that we go back in and look, I want to make sure you don't put things like your social security number or any of your, your social security number. I mean, everyone that's going to go in there are going to be vetted people who are employees of VSU, and it'll mostly be me and my researcher or assistant. But I just wanted you to make sure you didn't put your social security number there. Because other people would look at it. But you can always reach out to us if you need assistance or if you have any questions, and we're happy to help you individually if that's the case.
And that's your email or the other email you provided in the last?
The other email that I provided, and just, I get everything. So that email, I'm copied on that email even when you send it, but we have other people in place to assist. So we have now this full-time small business consultant. Then depending on what you end up saying that you need assistance with, then we're able to funnel you to the right person to help you. If you need help with marketing, then perhaps our marketing consultant that I have who works for me could help you. And if you needed some very specific help once you get to that financial feasibility section, which oftentimes people do, then I'll check with Dr. Wharton to even see if he can help you. And if not him, then I can help. Yeah, so send it to that email, not to mine, so that you don't end up with slower service when you send it to me, just because of the volume of emails that I'm getting right now. So we do have people in place to help. I'm glad you mentioned the email that you should request for assistance, because I'd like to make sure that I share that with you guys now. See if you guys can still see my screen. Should be able to. So what I have done is I have put that email here for you guys. It's a long email address, but that's the way it allows us to create it. So it's one that you're going to want to write down if you're going to want to access it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this email address and I'm going to put it in chat for everyone. So that if you guys have questions or need assistance, and we fielded probably about 40 or 50 questions a week here recently about the certification program and then different aspects of the Minority Small Business Launch Center. So someone will respond to you. But I'm going to put that in chat for everyone to have access to. And now you all have access to that email address that you can use in order for you to get help. These are good questions. That's why I like when you ask them, because they're typically questions that everybody can benefit from answers to. Does anyone have any other questions for me? Let me just double check chat before I close our session. All right. Well, then thank you everyone for coming to this webinar on assessing the feasibility of your business, and that explains to you our Pro Small Business Launch Certificate. I encourage you guys to access this certification training. I think it's actually really thorough and useful for you guys. Even when you get to the business model pitch competition template, we actually have a couple that were completed that you're able to see. They're not completed perfectly, but we got permission from those students to share theirs, and it helps you see that it can be completed and useful. And I'm looking forward to your successful businesses and want everyone to have a great and safe day, prosperous business.
Thank you so much. Everyone have a great day.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great day.
All is well.
You're welcome.